Welcome to the last Crafternoon in July. Today we are creating some yarn art, including this cute little guy here, who is a magnet that can go on your fridge or any place that's metal. If you pick up the craft kit from the library, you will get everything you need to make this little bug butterfly. Or you can use materials you have at home. So I will show you the materials you need to make this project. It includes 2 craft sticks. If you don't have craft sticks, you could use sticks from outside. You could use paper or plastic straws, although I think those are a little bit harder to use for this project, but you could certainly try those as well. You'll need a pipe cleaner. I think black is nice if you want to make it a butterfly, but you don't have to have black. If you don't have a pipe cleaner, don't worry. You can use ribbon, more yarn. You can create the antennas out of cardboard, whatever you have at home. I used wiggly eyes, but again, you can use whatever you have at home. If you have something round, small buttons, or maybe even just cutting them out of cardboard, anything like that would work. If you have stickers, you might have some stickers that you could use as eyes. I am using a magnet that has a sticky back to it. If you don't have a magnet, it certainly doesn't have to be on a magnet. You could just have it be like this, or add a loop and hang it somewhere, or you can add some other stick or stake and put it in a plant like our last bead bug project we did. And I'm using glue dots today. I think that these work really well to hold pieces together. If you don't have glue dots, that's okay. You can use glue, whatever you have at home. Tape even would work for some of this as well. And of course you need yarn, because all of the projects I will show you today require some type of yarn. And as I said before, if you haven't picked up a craft kit from the library, you will get everything you need to make this little guy as pictured. You do get all these colors of yarn and color of pipe cleaner in that kit, and we do have kits available for pickup. The first thing you want to do is you want to make an X shape to make the wings where you're going to weave your yarn onto, and I used a glue dot to put it together. So I put one side of the glue dot on and peeled it off. It's very, very sticky. And then I take the other one and I make an X design. I'm gonna make it pretty wide. The one thing I will say is, as you are weaving with the yarn, you may notice that it wants to move together, it wants to close, and this one got pretty tight. But if you just keep watching it and pushing it out, you'll be just fine. The next part requires weaving the yarn. So I will cut a long piece of yarn to show you how to do that part. And I start by tying a knot right in the middle of the X. There's a lot of different projects that you can use yarn for. After I show you how to make this butterfly, I will give you some other ideas on how you could use the leftover yarn from this project or extra yarn you have at home to do some more art projects. All right, I have tied a knot in the middle, and now I am going to wrap around the middle a few times on one side. And I'm going to keep wrapping until I get to the point where the 2 sticks meet. Then I'm going to start doing an over-under pattern. You don't have to do it that way. You can do whatever pattern you want. But I like to go over, under, over, under. You may have created something like this in summer camp. There's a couple different names for this type of weaving. Over, under, over, under, over, under, and you'll go all the way out to the edge. I'm starting to kind of see how it's getting, it wants to close, so I'm just opening that back up as I go. and trying to hold it in place as I do the yarn weaving, looping, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, until we get near the end. I think that's good enough. And I'm going to cut my yarn here and tie another loop. I try to keep the knots all on the same side, and then I use that as the back of the bug in the end. You don't have to do it that way. You can do, you know, whatever you want. I think it looks a little nicer when you can keep the seams in the back. So there's one half done. Now we'll do the other side. And I'm gonna start again by tying a knot on the same side as I tied the first one, keeping the knots all on one side. I wonder where you're going to put your bug when you're done. You'll have to send me some pictures so I can see. Now I'm wrapping again. I'm wrapping again around the middle until I get to that spot where they meet, and then I'm doing over, under, almost like a figure 8 around the 2 craft sticks. Under, over, under, over, under, over, under. And see, it's trying to close again, so I'm just making sure as I go that I keep those from getting too tight, because if they do, it won't look very much like a butterfly or a bug. It'll still look good, but all right, I'm reaching the end of my yarn, which is good because I'm reaching the end of my craft sticks here. So I will go ahead and do a knot to tie this off. And you can trim, trim the little pieces that are left hanging out. You should end up with something that looks like this, 2 nice wings. The next part, we're going to add the body of the butterfly and the antenna. So I start by putting the wings right in the middle of the pipe cleaner and then wrapping around a few times to form the body in the middle. And then I twist the antenna on the top here, twist it together to hold it in place. And then I like to kind of wrap these around to make them look a little bit more bug-like. And you should have something like this, where you have your wings, you have your body, you have your antenna, and then we have the wiggle eyes to put on. And again, I'm going to use glue dots for those. If you don't have glue dots or wiggle eyes, that's okay. You can use anything around the house that's small and round to make the eyes. You could even paint the eyes on if you have paint at home. You could probably do a little dollop of paint and then let it dry. And we should be up to something that looks like this. The last step for this project is to add your magnet or your hanger, however you're going to display your butterfly bug. And this has a sticky back, so I'm peeling off that piece of paper and adding the sticky part to the back. And there we go, there he is. Completely finished. And this is just one thing that you can make with yarn. There are a lot of other great art projects that you can do with just a little bit of yarn. I'll show you a few of those. Very interesting and simple and calming activity is to wrap yarn or do nature weaving with yarn and sticks. You find a stick outside, make sure that you're asking a grown-up if it's safe to touch a stick before you just start grabbing them. And you tie a knot on one end and you wrap all the way around. This one has a couple different colors. It's a very calming thing to do. It's great for muscles and fine motor skills. You can also find a Y-shaped stick and create a nature loom, and here I've added some pine needles, and again I'm doing that over under kind of, you know, rhythm. But you can add leaves or flower petals, bark, whatever you can find. And this is another fun way to use up yarn you might have at home. You can also do a lot of painting and printmaking with yarn. Here I have taken a paper towel tube and I've wrapped yarn around the tube, sort of creating a stripe design. And then I took the tube and I rolled it in paint to get the yarn covered in paint, and then rolled it onto a paper to make this print. It looks a little bit like a field. I like greens and yellows and blues. It's a little hard to see in this light, but there are different colors in there. And I could turn this into a card for somebody or a wrapping paper, or just leave it as an abstract print. You could have your child do one of these and then create a scene out of it, maybe make something from your favorite story this summer. We do have a badge in the summer reading program that is all about creating art and being creative. So these are some great ideas that would help you fulfill those requirements as well. Another fun thing to do is to take some yarn and glue it down on a piece of paper and have your child glue it in many different patterns, abstract patterns, crisscrossing, and then have them paint in different colors of their choice in each section. So you can kind of see that I have the yarn wrapped around and then I've painted in each section with different colors. I experimented with some color mixing. I added white to the green and the pink to make different shades, and it comes out as a beautiful abstract picture, which you could add markers to, or adding other recycled items around the house to create a beautiful piece of artwork. Another thing you can do with yarn is to create a yarn bowl, and I've taken a plastic bowl, put some plastic wrap on it, and then cut a pretty long piece of yarn, dipped it in water mixed with glue, lots and lots of glue, and then put it over top of the saran wrap. This will dry, and when it dries it hardens, and you'll be able to take it off the saran wrap and have a bowl, that just sort of a decorative bowl you could put things in, or just have it sitting around as decoration. That is another great way that you can use up some yarn at home. If you want to check out some books from the library, try crocheting or knitting. These are great books that can help teach your child or yourself how to crochet or knit. They're pretty simple instructions showing you how to make things like bracelets. This one's really neat. You make an envelope using yarn. And if you want to learn a little bit more about how yarn goes from lamb to yarn that you buy at the store or that you get from the library, this is a great series. This is called From Sheep to Sweater, and it has real pictures in it. Goes through the process of sheep and how they get their haircuts and how that wool is turned into all different shades of beautiful yarn. This is called From Sheep to Sweater. This is a great series. We have a lot more in this series as well. And for my youngest friends, we have this very sweet picture book called One Little Lamb. And this talks about how wool goes from a sheep to yarn that you use to make things like mittens and hats and all sorts of other things that you wear. I hope I inspired you to get creative with a little bit of yarn, and I can't wait to see what you've made.